Qualifying for the Malaysian Grand Prix got underway in tricky conditions as the wet weather played havoc to most of the teams amongst the field. The two drivers to be caught out by the wet weather were Rio Haryanto and Kevin Magnussen, who both got knocked out in Q1. Q2 didn't get any better as the weather conditions went from intermediate tyres to full monsoon conditions here in Malaysia. And that unfortunately meant that both Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso in the McLarens were knocked out in Q2 as both drivers struggled with the tricky conditions. Q3, however, did see an improvement as the weather eased off towards the end of the session. That forced our championship leader of Hayden Gullis to go onto the dry tyres at the end of the session. But unfortunately, the clock ran out and he was unable to set a valid lap time. So that means his teammate Nico Hulkenberg gets pole position for today's Malaysian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel showing there is more improvement in that Ferrari as he starts second on the grid. Further down the field, and our two-time previous race winner Max Verstappen lines up fourth on the grid. He'll be looking to try and get his third race win in a row, with Kimi Räikkönen in fifth and Hayden Gullis alongside him on the third row of the grid. So that is your run through of yesterday's qualifying session. Up next is the Malaysian Grand Prix. What is up, people, and welcome back to part 79 of my F1 2016 career mode here at the Malaysian Grand Prix. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to say a quick little sorry to you guys for not uploading recently. It's been quite a while since we have had a career mode episode, but I'm getting back onto it. I'm going to try and upload daily once again. Not daily career mode, but going to try and upload daily once again. Try and get at least 3 episodes of career mode a week for you guys as we start to round out Season 4. But Season 4 is not quite over yet. We still have a championship battle on our hands up against our teammate Nico Hulkenberg. We've started to get a bit of a lead over Nico Hulkenberg now, but there's still quite a way left to go of the season, so he can certainly catch us up, so we do need to be aware of that. There's Lewis Hamilton. He starts down in 13th place of the grid, and the Mercedes team are now starting to get back into the championship, but they are still very much a midfield team right now. There's Nico Hulkenberg. He starts in pole position for today's race. So let's run you through the starting grid ahead of today's Malaysian Grand Prix. It's Nico Hulkenberg who lines up on the front of the grid with Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, showing more improvement for the Italian team as he starts second. Carlos Sainz on the second row of the grid starting third. Max Verstappen, the two-time previous race winner, starts in P4. Kimi Räikkönen starts in fifth alongside myself in sixth place. Not a good qualifying session for myself. We were hoping to try and get onto the first or second row of the grid, but unfortunately the gamble on the dry tyres, we just did not leave enough time in the session to set a valid lap time. So disappointment for that. Danny Kvyat, he lines up in 7th, Felipe Massa in 8th. Then we have Pascal Wehrlein 9th for the grid with Esteban Gutierrez rounding out the top 10. Good qualifying session there for the Haas driver. Nico Rosberg just missing out into Q3 there. Disappointment there for the Mercedes driver with Jenson Button. Bad qualifying session there for the McLaren team. He qualifies in 12th, Lewis Hamilton 13th, and the other McLaren of Fernando Alonso down in 14th place. Daniel Ricciardo not having a good season so far. He's got his teammate winning the 2 previous races, and unfortunately Daniel Ricciardo all the way down in 15th on the grid. He'll be hoping for improvement here today in Malaysia. Roman Grosjean starts in 16th on the grid. Jolyon Palmer down in 17th. Rio Haryanto down in 18th. Not a good qualifying session there for the Manor driver. Marcus Ericsson 19th. Kevin Magnussen down in 20th. Valtteri Bottas 21st. And Felipe Nasr rounding out the grid in 22nd position. So that is your starting grid ahead of today's Malaysian Grand Prix. Let's head down to the track for today's race strategy. Taking a look at the race strategy ahead of today's race, and as you can see, it is raining out on track, so we'll be starting on the full wets, but as you can see by the session forecast, it is going to dry off by the end of the session. We're going to put our fuel load down quite a bit so we can run in lean at the start of the race, make sure that we don't burn up our rear tyres, then hopefully be going on to a set of intermediate tyres and then going on to a set of dries later on in the race. We're just going to have to solve. We're not too sure when abouts going to be going on to the intermediates. It's going to be quite quickly within the first 10 laps. But yeah, hopefully we can get onto those dry tyres and start to put in some serious lap times here today. So that is your race strategy ahead of today's race. Let's head to the starting grid for today's Malaysian Grand Prix. Here we are then on the starting grid for today's race. The lights coming on now. It's 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go for the Malaysian Grand Prix. It's an okay start compared to Kimi Räikkönen, but the second phase is not great as we're going to get overtaken by the Toro Rosso of Danny Kvyat. Moves up in 6th place. We've also got Felipe Massa and Pascal Wehrlein making a couple of positions up there on the inside down in towards turn 1. We have to be aware as Felipe Massa is being squeezed between the two of us, but Wehrlein does get the position. Now he's going side by side with Kimi Räikkönen. What a start there for Pascal Wehrlein, starting down in 9th on the grid, and now he's overtaking Kimi Räikkönen up into P6. We go side by side with Felipe Massa, who overtakes on the inside through turn 3. We're going to go side by side down in towards turn 4, round the outside, in towards turn 4, just holding it side by side with Felipe Massa, giving him the room on the inside, but I think he's backed out of the overtake, and yes he has, he's just fallen behind us now, and we take P7, I believe that is, away from Felipe Massa. So disappointing start from myself to unfortunately lose a position off the grid there from Danny Kvyat, but we cut head further into the race on lap 2 now as we watch the battle for 6th place between Pascal Wehrlein and Kimi Räikkönen, going down in towards the final corner side by side between the Ferrari and the Manor driver. Who's going to have the better exit out of the final corner? I think it's going to be Pascal Wehrlein, who's going to go side by side with Kimi Räikkönen. Unfortunately, we're not going to see it as we're watching behind Kimi Räikkönen. Nobody behind him. We're not close enough to the Ferrari driver just of yet, but Kimi Räikkönen still following in the slipstream up the inside, down in towards turn 1, and there we go. I think he has finally got the position on Pascal Wehrlein. No, they're still going side by side through turn 1 into turn 2. Can he hold it? Just about. Pascal Wehrlein has a little look up the inside into turn 2, but there we go. Kimi Räikkönen taking away the position and moves up into P6 ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Good overtake there from the Ferrari driver, moving above his rival of Pascal Wehrlein. We cut ahead to lap 8. There's a few drivers now coming into the pits for a set of intermediate tyres. It's time for intermediate tyres at the moment. We are deciding not to come into the pits because Nico Hülkenberg is currently pitting as well. So if we did come into the pits, unfortunately, I think we'd just lose too much time getting held up by the pit crew because double stacking is not the best thing to do on this game. And also with all the other drivers getting past us as well. So we cut ahead to the end of lap 5 now, and we are deciding to make our first pit stop in this race, going onto a set of intermediate tyres, pitting from 3rd on the grid. So good start to today's race. We moved up a couple of positions, but we're just going to have to wait and see whereabouts this is going to put us after the drivers who pitted on the previous lap get past us. So we are coming into the pits now. Kimi Räikkönen in his pit box as well. That moves us up into 2nd place for the time being, but Kimi Räikkönen is going to get back past us, and we move back down into 3rd. Now I think more drivers are going to get past us as we get a 2.9 second stop. So not the best pit stop there from the Force India team, but luckily we weren't held up by any other drivers. And whereabouts is this going to put us? Out on track, and it's 8th place for the time being as we come out of the pits now. It's 8th place on track. Not too bad. That's exactly where we were when we came into the pit, so it's not too bad as Gutierrez has a little look up the inside, down in towards turn 1, round the outside turn 2, and unfortunately we just don't have the grip up the inside of turn 2. That allows Esteban Gutierrez to get the inside line into turn 3, but we're going to follow in the slipstream now. We're very, very quick in a straight line in this Force India. Is it going to be enough to go for an overtake down in towards turn 4? No, it's not. Unfortunately, Esteban Gutierrez takes away 8th place, but we get a much better exit than the Haas driver out of turn 4. Where on earth we got that pace from, I do not know. Esteban Gutierrez going very slow out of turn 4. Then we move back up into 8th place, and now you can see we are now starting to reel back in Pascal Wehrlein as we go down in towards turn 1, setting the fastest lap of the race so far, showing that we do have pace in the intermediate conditions in this Force India car. Going down in towards turn 1 now. We're not too far away from Pascal Wehrlein, so we will be looking to close in within the next couple of laps. And here we are on the start of lap 10 in 8th place, battling for 7th right behind Pascal Wehrlein. So we're not too far behind Pascal Wehrlein at the moment. He'll be looking to try and stay ahead of us, but we will be trying to do our best to get past the Manor driver. You can see a dry line forming at the moment on track. I don't think it's enough to go onto the dry tyres just of yet, but we'll be certainly looking to go onto those dry tyres very, very soon indeed. We're still following right behind Pascal Wehrlein at the moment, down in towards this hairpin. There's a little bit of a gap, but we're still close enough to possibly go for a move down the DRS straights. DRS, of course, not activated yet, but we will still have the slipstream. We'll have the benefit of the slipstream down those straights. Just need to get a good purchase out of the corners leading into them. So here we are going down in towards this very, very tricky braking zone of the penultimate corner now, in towards this right hand. We need to just make sure that we stay right behind Pascal Wehrlein, get a good exit off the corner, down in towards, oh no we don't, we lose the back end just a little bit. We haven't lost the back of Pascal Wehrlein, but we do lose a little bit of momentum down in towards the final corner. Can we go for an overtake? Not quite. We decide not to go for a dive bomb. Unfortunately, we've run it a little bit too wide, but that's going to give us a good cutback on the corner, but unfortunately losing the back end just a little bit once again. But can we go for an overtake down in towards turn 1, following in the slipstream? The Manor, we know, is very quick in a straight line on this game, going down in towards turn 1. Unfortunately, it's just not quick enough to go for the overtake on Pascal Wehrlein. So once again, we're going to have to settle behind the Manor driver. Going down in towards turn 2 now. Still very much on the back of Pascal Wehrlein. There you can see still in 7th. We're still in 8th, but look how close we are to the back of Pascal Wehrlein. Going down in towards turn 4. Can we go for the overtake on the Manor driver? Side by side, no we can't. We decide once again not to risk it up the inside for the overtake on Pascal Wehrlein and just having to settle for P8. No, we're not going to go up the inside now in towards the fast left-hander side by side with Pascal Wehrlein through turn 5 into turn 6. We'll have the outside line this time though. Oh, there's contact between the two of us as Pascal Wehrlein maybe doesn't give us enough room. We might not have given him enough room through the corner. Not too sure about that one, but there was definite contact between the two of us as it looks like Jeff is giving us an option to change strategy. That could only be time to go onto the dry tyres, so we'll probably be doing that at the end of the lap, but we may decide to stay out for another lap because Nico Hulkenberg is ahead of us and he'll be coming into the pits as well. Not too sure what the gap is at the moment between the two of us, but we just don't want to risk it at this stage of the race. But here we are still very much on the back of Pascal Wehrlein. Unfortunately, not able to go for that overtake earlier on. And that is actually allowing the Mercedes driver, I'm not too sure which one that is, but there is Lewis Hamilton it is behind us at the moment on track. That's allowing him to catch up to us. But here we go. Round 2, attempt number 2 on Pascal Wehrlein. This time getting a much better exit, a much better purchase out of the penultimate corner. Going down in towards the final corner now on this straight, side by side with Pascal Wehrlein. DRS is activated this time around up the inside of the Manor driver, and it should be a fairly simple move. And Nico Hulkenberg currently in the pits at the moment. Pascal Wehrlein decides to come into the pits as well. That moves up into 7th place, but we're going to be gaining even more positions as there's a few drivers and teams making their pit stops at this stage of the race. There are a few other drivers actually deciding to stay out as well, so we're only up into, I believe this is 3rd or 4th position at the moment, once again like when we pitted earlier on in the race. But we decided to stay out. Hopefully the track doesn't dry up too much that we struggle on these intermediate tyres, but Nico Hulkenberg is going to be very, very quick on that set of hard tyres. Just look how much he's caught up through one corner in this race, showing that the dry tyres are definitely the tyres to be on. The intermediate tyres have completely fallen away at this stage of the race, and that allows Nico Hulkenberg to be very much on our tail going down the DRS straight. He's going to have DRS, he's going to have slipstream. He pulls over to the left-hand side. We kind of give him the room there, giving him the overtake because there's no point battling with our teammate because, well, we're on a different set of tyres and we're coming into the pits anyway, so there wasn't much point battling with him. There we go, coming into the pit lane for our second pit stop in this race. Pitting from 4th place, but unfortunately we've dropped down a position as I think it was Max Verstappen who overtook us as we entered the pit lane. And there we go, down in towards our pit box now. Currently falling down a couple of positions. We'll be hoping to come out around 7th position once again, right with Pascal Wehrlein. But because we stayed out an extra lap on the intermediate tyres, which we proved there with Nico Hulkenberg being so much quicker than us, it was not the best idea to do. So not too sure whereabouts we're going to be coming out of the pit lane down towards turn 1. Now, what position is it going to be? It's P12, moving down quite a lot of positions. I think everybody else has pitted at this stage of the race, which is a little bit unfortunate for us. We're down in P12, so we've got it all to do across the rest of this race, but there are a few drivers going on to medium tyres, going on to soft tyres, so we are definitely taking these hard tyres all the way until the end of the race, so hopefully we can achieve that. But here we are down in towards turn 4 now, right behind Jolyon Palmer. It's very, very close to the Renault driver, just showing how much quicker we are than Jolyon Palmer. We have a look up the inside though, down in towards turn 5. Can we hold it 6? We're going to have the outside line, and once again in towards turn 6. There's contact between the two of us. Yellow flag has been called out there. There's Jolyon Palmer in the gravel trap. He is still moving. He's not out of the race just of yet, but unfortunately there was contact between the two of us. We're going to get a replay of exactly what's happened there just to decide who was actually at fault between the two of us. I thought I already had the position in towards turn 6. I think Jolyon Palmer just dived it up the inside as we go in towards this corner now. Oh, that's a really, really nice shot there of Jolyon Palmer going for a spin into the gravel trap. But here's another replay, this time watching on board with Jolyon Palmer. So he just kind of dives it up the inside, not too sure. Gonna have to get a view actually on board with the Renault driver. This is the one we want to see. Okay, on board with Jolyon Palmer, down in towards turn 6. We kind of had the position, but then he just dives it up the inside. I get caught unaware of him doing that. Unfortunately, turn in for the apex of turn 6. And unfortunately closed the door there on Jolyon Palmer, putting him into the gravel trap and pretty much ruining his race. But he was out of the points anyway, and so it might not have meant too much to him. But we're currently chasing down Esteban Gutierrez, running in 10th place in this Malaysian Grand Prix. The sun has come out now, so there's no chance of rain anymore in this race. We overtake a couple of drivers who are in the pit lane and move up into P9 to gaining some crucial points at this stage of the race. And there's me just proving what I said earlier. Of the other guys running on the mediums and the softs, they had to make another pit stop, but they will be quicker than us towards the end of the race. And Nico Hulkenberg deciding to do that as well. He's gone onto a set of hard tyres, actually, with Max Verstappen coming out just behind him as well. And he goes side by side there with Daniel Ricciardo. So Daniel Ricciardo nearly actually overtaking Nico Hulkenberg. But there is, I think, Danny Kvyat or Carlos Sainz. I think it's Danny Kvyat who's actually got out just ahead of Max Verstappen. So that's really going to help Nico Hulkenberg at this stage of the race, because obviously he is battling for the lead of the race with Max Verstappen. So he has 2 cars of a safety buffer between himself and Max Verstappen at this stage of the race. That's really good news there for my team as he goes through turn 5 and turn 6. We're following not too far behind Nico Hulkenberg at this stage of the race, but we're following right behind Esteban Gutierrez, looking to try and get an overtake on the Haas driver as soon as we possibly can, right behind the Haas driver in the battle for 8th place. So we're currently running in P9 at the moment. Not the best race for us so far, but I reckon we can definitely pull it back with a few guys still yet to make pit stops in this race. We go in towards this hairpin on the left-hander. Esteban Gutierrez locks up on the exit there. Not too sure what's happened. The tyres maybe just spun up the rear tyres. Maybe his tyres have completely fallen away from him. Nearly going for an overtake around the outside of that long right-hander, but unfortunately just weren't able to get the traction out to the corner to go for the overtake on Esteban Gutierrez. But we are still very much behind the Haas driver as we go through the penultimate corner right now. Following right in the slipstream, and the DRS, using the DRS, pulling over to the right-hand side of Esteban Gutierrez. We do have to be aware in case he comes into the pits, but we don't actually have to worry about that at all as we get the position before we even get to the final corner. In towards the left-hander now, and there we go, moving up into P8 of this Malaysian Grand Prix. Esteban Gutierrez deciding not to come into the pits. There's another driver in the pits of, I believe that was Daniel Ricciardo, who's just come into the pits. So that pushes us up into P7 now, and there's just confirmation that Esteban Gutierrez is not able to go for the overtake on us down the start-finish straight. So really good overtake there on Esteban Gutierrez, making our way through the field still. And with other drivers yet to make pit stops, we could definitely get into maybe a top 6, top 5 position in this race. We have a look at replay of what happened to our teammate Nico Hulkenberg whilst we were battling with Esteban Gutierrez. So we go side by side with Daniel Ricciardo, who goes up the inside in towards the final corner. And as he comes into the pits, he actually clips Nico Hulkenberg. Not too sure at all whether he's got front wing damage. It doesn't look like it, but that's allowed Danny Kvyat to get past Nico Hulkenberg, and that allows Max Verstappen to also be right behind my teammates. So Nico Hulkenberg now coming under pressure from Max Verstappen. He needs to get past Daniel Kvyat as soon as he possibly can. He moves over to the left-hand side by side with the Toro Rosso driver down into the final corner. Is Danny Kvyat coming into the pit lane? No, he is not. He's been held around the outside of the final corner. Max Verstappen not able to get past Danny Kvyat there. And Nico Hulkenberg once again has a little bit of a safety buffer against Max Verstappen as we're watching on board with myself once again. A couple of drivers exiting the pit lane right now. Can we overtake Carlos Sainz, who's in P6 right now? He's just come out of the pit lane. Unfortunately, not quite able to do that through there. Through the left-hander now, right behind Carlos Sainz. Can we get the overtake on the Toro Rosso driver's teammate, giving my teammate a bit of hassle? So looks like it's the Toro Rosso versus the Force Indias at this stage of the race. We're following right behind Carlos Sainz. Can we do anything? Going through turn 4 now, right behind Carlos Sainz. Can we go for the overtake on the Toro Rosso driver in towards left-hander? Yellow flag is out, so we're not able to do that. There's a lot of smoke, which means somebody's had an engine failure. It's Sebastian Vettel who pulls over to the right-hand side of the track, and there he is, unfortunately out of today's race. The virtual safety car has been deployed, but good news about that is that we gain a very easy position there on the Ferrari driver, moving us up into P6. And if we can get past Carlos Sainz, we can actually move up into P5 as well. And there's just a replay of what's happened to Sebastian Vettel with his engine failure, pulling over to the right-hand side of the track, and then myself and Carlos Sainz get past him as well. So disappointment there for Sebastian Vettel in today's Malaysian Grand Prix, running 22 laps, but unfortunately he will not be able to make it to the end of the race. But here we are, virtual safety car. Is it coming on this lap? There's a couple of drivers into the pit lane at the moment. I believe that is Danny Kvyat and somebody else. Virtual safety car is engine ending now, so that allows us to catch up to Carlos Sainz down in towards turn 1. Can we go for the overtake on Carlos Sainz in this race? We have a little look up the inside. We probably could have dive bombed it, but I wasn't too sure when the green flag was going to come out, so I could actually go for the overtake. If I knew that it was going to come out at that point, then I would have dived up the inside of Carlos Sainz. But so far, we're up into P4, but there we are, losing the back end with Carlos Sainz on much fresher medium tyres as well. Unfortunately, I don't think we are going to be able to get the overtake there on the Toro Rosso drivers. We go through turn 4 right now. And there we go. Just look at the traction that Carlos Sainz has out of that corner. And unfortunately, we weren't able to overtake him at the end of the day. But 4th place is still a really, really decent result for us, especially as we started down in P6, lost a lot of positions at the start. It was only really the case of the strategy towards the end of the race that made us actually get a good position in today's race. We're watching on board with Nico Hülkenberg through the final corner now. He has had no problems whatsoever. He comes down towards the start-finish line. Nico Hülkenberg wins the Malaysian Grand Prix. A really, really decent result there for my teammate. Good points for the Force-India team. Unfortunately, that means he is going to gain on us in the championship as Max Verstappen comes home in second and Carlos Sainz brings home a podium for Toro Rosso as well. But we come around the final corner and it is a fantastic result for us here at the Malaysian Grand Prix. P4 after starting P6 and dropping right down to the midfield. What a fantastic result for us here today. There we go then, a really, really thrilling race today at the Malaysian Grand Prix. Unfortunately, it wasn't a race win and we did lose out to our teammate, but we can still be really happy with P4. It is a lot of positions, a lot of points lost to Nico Hülkenberg, but like I said, we can still be happy about P4. Nico Hülkenberg, though, is today's race winner with Max Verstappen once again having a really decent result, finishing in P2. Carlos Sainz, he finishes in 3rd, with myself in 4th. Kimi Räikkönen finishes today's race in 5th, with Danny Kvyat 6th. Lewis Hamilton finishes in 7th, with Daniel Ricciardo 8th, Pascal Wehrlein in 9th, and Jenson Button getting the final World Championship point here today. Esteban Gutierrez will be disappointed not finishing the points here today. He finishes down in 11th, with Nico Rosberg getting P12. Taking a look further down the field, and Kevin Magnussen manages to make his way up into P13, but still no points here today. Roman Grosjean finishes in 14th, Rio Haryanto 15th, Fernando Alonso 16th, Marcus Ericsson in 17th, Jolyon Palmer down in 19th position after that crash with myself, actually Bottas in 18th. Then we have Felipe Nasr 20th, Felipe Massa in 21st. Unfortunately, Sebastian Vettel DNFing in today's race and not scoring any points at all. Championship standings then after 16 rounds of Season 4. We still lead the way, but only by 8 points over our teammate of Nico Hülkenberg. So it looks like it's going to be another thrilling championship battle here in this career mode. Carlos Sainz looks pretty much out of the championship battle now, 69 points behind us. So it's fair to say that Carlos Sainz is out of the championship battle. So disappointment there for the reigning world champion. And finally, to the Constructors' Championship, Sahara Force India still lead the way by quite a huge margin as well, 206 points over Toro Rosso. We can actually win the Constructors' Championship next time around at the Japanese Grand Prix. So hopefully we are able to do that, both myself and Nico Hülkenberg. Ferrari move above Manor in the Constructors' Championship, showing that Manor now starting to lose it in this career mode, which is unfortunate to see. And unfortunately, they're probably going to start to go back down to a backfield team, which is disappointment there for the Manor team. But it was fun while it lasted. It was fun while the Manor team were battling with the likes of Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, stuff like that. There's still a chance they can still battle across the end of the season and into the start of Season 5, but it's only a matter of time before they are right down at the back of the field once again. But that's it for today's Malaysian Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, share the video with your friends, and I will see you next time at the Japanese Grand Prix. But until then, it's goodbye from me.